What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, Reckless Rexx Ruger, watching my back, as always, the Freddie Mercury puppet. We are back with another banger of an episode. You guys know it's what we do here. Before we go any further, as I do every episode, I will address the proverbial elephant in the room. You, of course, are looking at the smoldering good looks, these luscious blonde locks, and how could you not? You're only human. I will confirm for you that, yes, you are looking at the one and only love child of one Diamond David Lee Roth. And speaking of looks, I'm going to grab a look. I'm only human. You got to admire beauty wherever you can get it, especially in this ugly, ugly world that we're living in. And now that we've dispensed of the formalities, we can get down to brass tacks, which, as I said, is another incredible episode of Pod Scum. My guest will be in here shortly, and I am very excited. We're taking it international, going over to Sweden, which, of course, is a hotbed, a wellspring of incredible extreme metal, has been for years. And this gentleman and his band, no exception to the rule. So excited to have him on. Really been digging this album by An Abstract Illusion. The album is called The Sleeping City. We'll get more into that when Karl comes in here. Before he gets in here, let me do my shameless promotional spiel, because as you all know, if you have a podcast, you must pimp it. And today, my pimp hand is feeling very strong. So here we go. Please make sure to tap into Pod Scum on Facebook. Our handle is Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Do not be confused. I have two separate podcasts. I promote them both through one Facebook. Cannot be bothered with carrying multiple accounts. I just won't do it. People have said, Rexx, why not a separate account for both of your shows? No. Too much time on social media. Rots the brain, kids. Same with Instagram. Same handle. Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Kept it very easy for you guys, simplified it, kept it easy for myself. So you can tap in with us on either of those platforms. Most importantly, if you're watching us here right now, this is where you're going to get the incredible content, these amazing conversations that we have. If you're here right now, please like, please subscribe, and please, most importantly, smash that notification bell in the upper regions of your screen. I'll give you a clue. It is bell-shaped. Imagine that, a notification bell that's bell-shaped. But there it is. It's up there somewhere. Please find it. Please press it so you will be privy to when new content is dropping. That's the most important thing. You want to have the heads up when we're putting out the good shit, and we are rolling out content weekly. I always say sometimes it's an episode. At the very least, it's an episode. Oftentimes, it is multiple episodes, just depending on how the abundance of episodes and interviews that we happen to do that particular week. But believe me, I am like a kid in a candy store. I'm a fan at the end of the day. I am very giddy when I get content. I want to release it to you guys. I'm excited to unveil it on you guys. So, I don't like to sit on my hands. When we get new content, I like to keep it rolling and get it out there. It's doing me no good just here on my device. I want you guys to see and hear it. So, with that being said, at the time of this recording, it is Thursday, November 6th. Here in upstate New York, the weather is starting to turn. It is getting very cold. Winter is in the air. We can feel it. We know it's coming. It's imminent. So what else should we be doing? We should be hunkering down. We should be watching us some fucking podcasts, namely Pod Scum. I mean, why not? There's a treasure trove of stuff there to watch. At the time of this recording, we are north of 340 episodes. I believe I just posted episode number 344, if I'm not mistaken. So, like I always say, there's something there for everybody. Dive in. There is a lot of incredible conversations and or episodes with some incredibly talented people, people that I am a fan of, that I deeply admire and respect. I wouldn't have them on the podcast otherwise. I think it's the same goes with Off the Couch Boxing. If you're a fan of the pugilism and you like the fight game, you can hop over there. Separate playlist. We are almost at 300 episodes of Off the Couch Boxing. So again, there's a treasure trove of stuff there to dive into. So certainly no shortage of stuff to get you through these cold months that are coming up. Should you happen to live in a cold weather area, hunker down, tap into some Pod Scum, tap into some Off Boxing. My guest is here right now, so now I can shut the fuck up, and we can get down to another great episode. So here we go. Let's do it. Hello, Karl.
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Listen, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. I'm really enjoying this this latest An Abstract Illusion album. Really, really amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's gotten good response so far, so we're happy about it.
It has, and I want to ask you that because I asked this question a lot of artists that come on here. Are you somebody that when you put out an album or a piece of work that you will go and look at feedback and criticism?
Yeah, I am. It's probably something that you not really should, but I mean, I guess in a way that I'm also responsible for doing like press or finding quotes to like post everywhere and review stuff. I kind of have to do that part of the job as well. It can be, it's something like it's like a double-edged sword. Like you can get really good feedback, but sometimes you get like a review where you're like, yeah, they're right about this.
Yeah,
we should think that's the kind of criticism that hurts the most, I think, when you kind of agree with it. But the response has been really good. I think it's maybe even better than the last album, which got crazy good response. So I'm very, very happy about it.
And so as a band, I'm curious because one of the things that I do see critiqued a lot, and I think this probably lends itself to the era that we're in right now with dwindling attention spans and people just digesting music in a different way. One thing I see always getting picked on with projects is length of album, length of songs or whatever. Do you guys as a band sit around and have a conversation? How many songs do we want this to be? How long do we want this to come in? Like this album comes in at 7 songs, 60 plus minutes, which we don't see a lot of 60 plus minutes pieces of work nowadays. Do you guys discuss this?
Yeah, I mean, we do. It's not like we have. I think a lot of the music that we listened to when we grew up, like it's a lot of that in the like progressive metal genre, like Dream Theater, Opeth, all of those bands have like long albums. So for us, it's more like that's kind of what we're used to. And for our music to feel right, we need to be able to have long songs to develop ideas and bring back motifs and stuff. So sure, I think that we're definitely in an era where people want shorter albums, they want shorter songs, they want more like, there's a lot of talks about just releasing singles or just releasing like short EPs,
You're right.
But for us, I think the album experience is so essential. That's kind of what we like. We like to have like a full album of music that we just put on. You get all of these different experiences on it.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not the most, I guess, suitable for the modern era, but that's I think that's our kind of like area. So we're happy to do that. And I think regarding like how much we self-edit, we try to not, every part of a song should feel essential to the song.
Sure.
So we do a lot of trimming. We usually start up with albums that are maybe like 80 minutes, and then we kind of like cut up bits and pieces that we feel like, this is not that necessary, but we like the song, So we do a lot of self-editing, but so we're conscious about it. We're not gonna be doing like 40 minutes albums in the future or anything like that.
Right. So when you are self-editing, who makes the final decision, or is it very democratic amongst the band of what makes the cut? And when you're trimming something down, like as you say, from 80 minutes down to 60 minutes, how does that decision get made? Is it just kind of like is it put to a vote? Is it discussed amongst the band? How do you decide what makes that final cut?
It's usually as the main composer of the band, I would say that I have like, maybe I will trim the stuff before people even hear it, or maybe I have like a strong idea of what should be and what shouldn't be. But if there's like sections that people don't like, they will just say that, and then either find a way around it or see maybe we can just cut this part, you know. So I would say it's very democratic, but at the same time, I have like a very strong vision for what to keep and what to not keep, you know.
Okay. Okay. Now, I do want to talk more about the Sleeping City, but I want to backtrack a little bit because I usually get artists on here, and I tend to hear a very common theme amongst people that get into music, that they grew up in musical households. Maybe their parents were into music. A lot of albums being played within the household. Was this the case for you?
Yes. Mostly my dad played a lot of classical music. He has like a big collection of like, you know, vinyls.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of classical music, Eric Clapton, like blues music. And my sister started like digging around in that collection and found like Pink, you know, Simon and Garfunkel,
Mm-hmm.
Black Sabbath, that kind of stuff. So it's been a lot of that, but also um, my sister. I had two sisters, but the one that I kind of grew up with most, she listened to like some Swedish pop band called Kent, which is huge in Sweden but not internationally.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like, so, you know, Finnish. She actually listened to, I think, like Sonata Arctica, you know, the Finnish
Mm-hmm.
power metal band, a few songs. So I kind of got caught on to that. So I think, in a sense, that we have been a pretty musical family, and my older sister used to play in like a symphonic orchestra. So it's been around me all my life. So that has shaped a lot of my musical taste.
And so how do you make the foray into the more extreme stuff? Is there a specific artist or an album or something that you hear that gets its hooks in you where you want to even go even into heavier stuff?
Mm. I actually don't know how I started listening to metal itself. First started hearing like Metallica and Iron Maiden, you know, the big things, the ones that everyone is getting into metal
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then I guess I kind of looked around, you know, the easier listening parts of metal.
Yeah.
And then a cousin of mine, he sent the song Blackwater Park by Opeth. And that was my first kind of, you know, exposure to harsh vocals. And I didn't
Yeah.
like it at first, but it was like, oh, this music is so mysterious and intriguing. So I kind of had to keep listening. And then it sent like a few other songs from that album with vocals, and that made it much easier for me to kind of warm up to it, you know.
Right.
So I think Opeth was one of my like big forays into extreme metal, and then, you know, Agalok and Windir and like those kind of more melodically based black metal bands, you know, and some death metal and prog metal. Dream Theater came in pretty early as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and then if you have this continuous like evolution of like your diversification of your music tastes as well.
And of course, you are in Sweden too, correct? Which is obviously has been a hotbed for extreme metal and death metal for years and years and
Yeah.
years. I mean, the country spawned a lot of great death metal.
Yeah. It's I think a lot of like a common theme in when people are describing us is like, oh, well, they're from Sweden, so they have it in their blood, you know. And I
Right.
think that's kind of true. There's a lot of, and we grew up in a really like small part of Sweden, like northern Sweden. So you don't
Yeah.
have tons of band coming from there, but you have the Stockholm scene and you have the Gothenburg scene. So everyone's kind of influenced by that in a way. And even in like smaller parts of Sweden, you have this really good metal bands that you just go to a local show and you see a few great metal acts. So you definitely get influence from that as well.
Now it says on the album that you were credited with playing the bass and the guitar.
Yeah.
Is there one instrument that you identify with more? What was the one that you gravitated towards early on?
Guitar, definitely. I grew up. Um, well, I wasn't that young. I started playing guitar when I was 13. I got a guitar from my mom. So I played that for a few years, and then when I started like high school, I went to like a musically oriented high school where we had a lot of individual instrument classes and like group like band practices. And then I picked up like bass as my second instrument, so I started playing that. But it's not like, I wouldn't say that bass is my passion instrument. I really enjoy bass, and I feel like it's you can do a lot with bass, both rhythmically and melodically, to kind of like
Sure.
give a uh, deeper meaning to the music, or like a deeper feel of the music. And then it kind of became a necessity because we had a bass player on our EP, and then uh, we didn't have a bass player for the year. Then it kind of as a me for a very long time.
Yeah.
I can there. So I play bass. I need to play bass on the album. But
Hold on a second, Carl. Hold on a second, Carl. You're getting a little pixelated, and you're getting a little you're getting a little frozen there. I just don't want to miss anything. Yeah, your picture was getting a little pixelated, and you were getting a little frozen there. I don't know if we're having like an internet connection problem or.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm just doing 5G.
I've learned from doing all these episodes, man. I've learned from doing all these episodes that we are at the mercy of the internet, of course. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Working on.
Just got to get your picture back up. Yeah, I can hear your audio.
Okay.
I just got to get your picture back up. There you go. There you go. And so how does this album get made? Because you did mention that you were the main composer of the band. Is it a collaborative process when an abstract gets together to make music, or do you kind of have the lion's share of the ideas?
I was the latter. I mean, everyone can pitch in what they have, or any ideas that they have, or any opinions about the music that I write. But I usually have a very solid base to work around when it comes to all the songs on the albums. So I will sit in my home studio, record stuff, demoing, trying stuff out, and then I will, when I feel like I have a song that's decently done, I will send it out to the guys, and they will be like, oh, okay, this is really cool, keep that. This I feel is not as good, or this is boring, or whatever. And then we kind of like do a couple of reiteration of the songs until we have like a finished product, and then the other guys will put their own spin on stuff. Like Isaac will do the drums, and Chris will do the vocals, Robert will do his keys. So you have like the groundwork is laid by me, but then everyone gets to put their own spin on it, to kind of give it their flavor.
And where you guys stand on touring? Obviously, that's a big part of what you guys do too. Are you guys a band that's able to get out there and tour? I know sometimes it's difficult for people, day jobs, family situation, that type of stuff. What kind of a band are you in terms of going out and playing live?
Whenever we are playing live, we really enjoy it. Like, the connection with the fans, the energy you get. But it's like for most of the bands in our genre, like the smaller bands, that we have day jobs, so it becomes more and more difficult to like find the time to do it, and to have the opportunity to do it. We have a few things lined up next year, which are very exciting. So, I mean, we're doing a few gigs with German progressive metal band Dissolution in Germany and Austria. That will be our first time in those countries, so that's awesome. And we have some other plans that are almost finalized, not really finalized, so I can say anything. But
okay, fair enough.
It's gonna be when the time comes, we'll announce it. But
big news. Big news is on the way. Big news is on the way. We'll keep it at that, right? Okay.
Exactly. It's exciting news for us. Yeah.
Great. And so I want to dive a little more into the Sleeping City, because I feel like when you make an album like this, regardless of whether you want to put the label concept album on it or not. I feel like there is something conceptual about this album. What are you trying to convey? You know what I mean? What does the Sleeping City mean? What is the message behind it for fans that might not know?
So I think the way we describe it, it's not really a concept album, but it's more like small stories that could take place in kind of like a deceased society, or like a rotten city, the sleeping cities that we represented as. Like it's in the middle of the living realm and the dead realm, like this.
Okay.
It's kind of like this sleepless limbo, so or like sleeping limbo. So I think that's kind of how we describe this. We have some songs, dealing with a very modern problem right now. It's like, how people use AI and everything. They use AI for album artwork, and they use AI to like Spotify uses AI to do this musical playlist, so they don't have to pay artists.
Right,
So
right, right.
There's
There's actually people out there writing novels, and they're letting AI write the whole book for them.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's like, and I think the song is this is for no dreams beyond empty horizons. It's like, what do we really become as humans when we let our, like, the human spirits, when we take that out of art, which is wholly human, and you replace it with robots, and what's left for us? That's like the mundane, boring work that we get to do, and which we said robots would do, like the sci-fi from the mid-century. They said like, oh, they will do this huge conveyor belts, and we'll do all the good things about being human. But now it's like the opposite for some fucking reason. So that's a song about that, and we have songs about, like, drug abuse and depression, and so kind of like signs of an unhealthy society. That's kind of like what the Sleeping City represents for us.
And when I look at the album cover, I can't help but harken back to, and I mean this like in a good way. I get a very King Diamond feel from it. You know what I mean? Like I think like them or Voodoo. You know what I mean? Maybe it just has something to do, with what the album art kind of conjures up.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the thing that we wanted to. It's in a way, it's an homage to like the early '90s, like black metal covers, Emperor and Dissection, those kind of like purplish or bluish hues, like you have this big cities or castles or whatever. And I think that's kind of what we wanted to do that in some way. And then Alex, who did the artwork, he's an amazing artist, and he just took that vision and did his own thing. And I think we're super happy about the artwork.
As a musician yourself, songwriter, musician, who has influenced you the most? Who's had the most impact on like who you are as a musician, as an instrumentalist?
So I guess when it comes to composing, obviously Opeth has done a huge deal for us. Pink Floyd, the big atmospheric sections with synths and guitars, like more, not like fast guitars, but like this, every note has a meaning. That's David Gilmour for me, 100%. I think Devin Townsend with his, like, larger than life productions have been a huge influence for us. Like the Wall of Sound, things happening all the time, and there's a lot to credit. I think Vindir, the Norwegian black metal band, has done a lot for us, like just in a melodic vocabulary sense. There's so many. I think on this album we have a lot of inspiration from synth music, like Brian Eno, Depeche Mode, or Boards of Canada, or Oliver Arnold. It's like these very beautiful synth layers and textures all the time. For this album in particular, has been very influential.
Where does a great song start for you? You know what I mean? How is it born, being as that you're kind of composing this music? Does it start with a line? Does it start with a title? Does it start with a riff? Where does it spawn from?
I mean, it can be coming from so many different angles. I think a lot of songs that I've written has been, I have like maybe an image in my head, like maybe like a huge landscape in front of me, or like a forest. It sounds very pretentious. It probably is. But it's like I get these images in my head that I kind of like I want to put into music. So maybe I see like a wintry landscape or something, and I want to do how would that sound, and then I kind of maybe put out like soft synth or something, then some melodies coming in like in the distance, and
Yeah.
then it comes, crashing in. It's very different all the time. Maybe sometimes I have like this melody is great, so I want to do something with that, and then I base the whole song around it, or maybe do like maybe like a song like No Dreams Beyond Empty Horizons. I had that guitar thing, bada 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 bada
Yeah.
bada, then like it's that kind of thing, and then I started building the song from that. So it can come from many different areas. So hard to say. A lot of like images in my head that I try to put music to, um, or a riff for, like any angle actually.
Now, you put this album out, and it's literally a matter of a few weeks old at this point. But being as that it's so easy to get music out nowadays, it's a different story how many people listen to it. But you can get music out there on the streaming platforms now. It's easier to release music. There's an
Mm.
influx of it out there on the streaming sites or whatever. How soon do you think about the next project? Do you already start writing for it? I know this one is only a matter of a couple of weeks old, but how soon do you think about
Yeah.
following it up in today's music industry?
Uh, I think for us, it's not that we feel like, oh, we have to have an album out in 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you look at the time from our first album to the second album, Whoa, that was 6 years. And
Yeah.
now from Whoa to Sleeping City, that was 3 years. And I think we always like work on music. We always have these ideas, and whenever an album's out, that's when we feel like, oh, now we can concentrate on the next album. So
Right.
I mean, we always started writing pretty heavily for the next album. It's on its way. It's shaping up to be good, hopefully. But it's like we're not really thinking about like doing product cycles as like, oh, now we write this and then we don't do anything else, and then when that's
Right.
done, we write the next one. It's not like we compartmentalize in that way. It's always being worked on stuff. Like, I mean, we write heavily for next album, but we also have like ideas for the album after that. So
Right.
it's about finding the strongest ideas and like shaping them to be, the best that they can be. And then when we feel like we have around 60 minutes of material, that's when now we can start going to the studio so we can record this and then see where it takes us.
So obviously, when you say that, that's kind of like, that's kind of like the norm, having 60 minutes of stuff. So that is always going to work best for you guys as a band. Full length albums. We talked about this earlier. You guys would never go the singles route or even a shorter body of work like an EP. It just doesn't suit what an Abstract Illusion does.
We did. I mean, the first release we ever had was a 30-minute EP. So we have talked about doing EPs lately as well. I think albums is kind of what we will do. I don't think we will ever release like a single that's like a song that's only on that single.
Right.
It would be part of like it would be released on an album afterwards. Maybe we'll do EPs in the future, but I think albums is where we kind of get to develop our ideas the best, and maybe have like a more coherent sound on the album. Like maybe like the last album was like one song, 1 60-minute song divided into parts. So you had
Yeah.
it flowed very well. And then this album has more like a synthy vibe, like a 80s movie soundtrack vibe. The next album will have another kind of vibe. So when we do albums, we kind of want to have like a coherent theme. And then maybe an EP, that will be a collection of songs that are strong, but not really fitting into any of the themes. So we have ideas for that, but albums is what we do.
Were you concerned at all? Because you do incorporate the synth, and it's not always viewed as the most metal of instruments. I love the use of it in metal. Is it anything that you second guess, or did you say, no, this project needs synth?
Not really something we second guess. I don't think we're the kind of band that are very concerned about what people think. I mean, of course we care what our fans think, but our fans, we have the luck of having very accepting fans. They, as long as they like the music, they don't really care how it's presented to them,
Right.
So for us, it's a point of comfort for us that we can do. We can take freedom with stuff. We can do things that are maybe like out of the box or anything, but as long as the music's good, then our fans are accepting of that. So we didn't. I mean, if we want to do synths, that's not really something I guess we're concerned about, like what the general audience will think. You will always have, like, every metal album that's ever been released has its detractors. People will say like, "Oh, this new Opeth album fucking sucks because they did blah 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 blah."
Right.
And then I mean, to me, they're one of the best groups that have ever existed in metal.
Incredible.
So so it's like what one person will like, another person will dislike, and vice versa. So I think it's more, you have to be true to yourself, because that's when the music will be the best.
Well, you sound like you guys are willing to be very experimental and tweak your sound from project to project. And a lot of times, fans find that refreshing. And then other times, fans want you to just find your comfort zone and stay in there. So you're almost damned if you do, damned if you don't as an artist. If you stray from your sound, people want you to stay with your traditional sound. If you stay with the traditional sound, then you're not evolving and changing, and you're boring. So as an artist, it's got to be extremely frustrating, man. I mean, how do you balance that as a band that seems to like to experiment?
I think that's kind of like, you have to take the good with the bad, I guess. I mean, if people are wanting you to stay in your previous lane, that's probably because they really like the music that you've done. So I guess I think we see it as like a something of a privilege, because our last album was so well received. People were like, "Oh, maybe they will do like Woe 2.0, like do the same thing, but like continuation of that." And then we just took that and we did something completely different.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of, at certain points, you just have to like tune out the outside noise, and just do what you think is best. Because while we do songs or like sounds different from album to album, I think we still have some kind of like, defining, this is an Abstract Illusion, how we blend, I guess, death metal, black metal, and prog metal, and how we just incorporate tons of, like melancholic melodies and stuff into that. I think we have that, but then we also have like this, I guess, more superficial stuff, like the synths or like the
right
whatever. So I don't think it's a complete departure from what we usually sound like, but yeah, it's I guess for us it's more like, we do what we find interesting, and then people will like it if they like it, and the ones who don't want to jump on the train, that's fine with us. But then I guess for other artists it's more like, we kind of have to do what people like, because this is our job. Our economy relies on people buy it or not.
Right.
For us it's more like, this is not our full-time job, so it's more like we have the freedom to do what we want. Worst case scenario, less people like it, but we still can do what we want.
Are you reluctant at all, or is there anybody who comes to you, either at your label, management, anything like that? Does anybody have a problem? I know we talked about it earlier about how long the album is. I love that you went 7 songs in 60 plus minutes. Is there anybody who comes to you and says, this might be a little bit too long? or do you guys just have the freedom to say, hey, this is what we made, this is how we want it to go out, this is the final project, or the final product, 60 minutes of music?
So we worked with Willowtip for 2 albums now. Before that, we were fully independent, and when we were talking about signing a contract with them before Whoa, they said that we won't care what you release. I mean, as long as you're kind of like true to yourself, that's fine with us. So the first time the Willowtip heard the Sleeping City, that was when it was fully mixed and mastered. So even if they had input, they wouldn't have been able to change anything. But they were super happy with the album, and they say like, do your thing. You obviously know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a total freedom to have. Like, you don't really have anyone who says what you should do. It's more like, what do you want to do? And that's one of the. Like I said, it's not our day job, so for us it doesn't really matter how much we sell or anything. It's nice if we sell stuff, but for us it's more like a musical expression. So we try to surround ourselves with people that gives us the freedom to do what we want to do musically.
Is it difficult, or is that a point of contention if someone were to come to you and try to stifle that? Is that a hard line that you draw? Hey, look, this is not our day job, man. We create this for ourselves. This is how we express ourselves. We're standing firm on what we put out.
I think if someone close to us would have like an idea of like, oh, maybe you can make this song better in this way, or like if they have some kind of constructive criticism that we can kind of agree with that, or even if we don't really agree with it, we still appreciate constructive criticism when it's reasonable. But if someone were like, oh, you can't really do that, you need to have 3-minute songs and it has to have a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, the traditional stuff of doing things, then we kind of would cast that aside. It's not something that we care about. Those kinds of opinions. Maybe we sometimes want to do a song that's 3 minutes and verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, but that's because we want to do it, and not because someone tells us to do it. So we definitely appreciate when people have like constructive criticism for the music, but it's not the only people that we really rely on are ourselves.
How early on in life did you know that you were going to take a stab at doing music and actually try to do it on some type of a professional level?
I think the first time I held my guitar, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of. I guess it's difficult to say, but I mean, music. It's not necessarily that it has to be like on a professional level, but it's like music has always been very, very important for us, all of us in the band. Like, even if it's just a hobby that doesn't make any money, we will want to do it because I guess that's kind of our thing, So I think pretty early on or at least for me, when I started like playing guitars, like, this is really fun. I want to do this as much as I can. And we're very lucky to, I guess, have found a fan base that supports us and allows us to like do it, I guess, semi-professionally. This is not our salary that we rely on, but we can make enough money to put it into the next album, So it's more like the band has become, like self-reliant in a way that we don't have to put in the personal money. And it's like people buy merch, we put that into the next album production, and then the cycle continues. So we're super privileged to have reached that kind of level where we get to do this for like a lot of our time. We get to do music. So yeah, very early on, but we're happy.
Was there anybody in your family that was opposed to you getting into the arts or being or going in the direction of a musician? I know sometimes I've talked to musicians on here whose parents might not be so stoked, family might not be so stoked because it is such a speculative career. Some people, you know, it's like you hear that your kid is getting into the arts and you think, all right, this might, you know, this is kind of hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like you might not make any money at this. You might not be successful at this. You should have something to fall back on. You know what I mean? Maybe this isn't the right path. Did you experience any of that?
I guess not really, because I very early on felt like I wanted to have another career, you know. So I went to university pretty early on.
Okay.
So I haven't felt the pressure because I myself haven't like tried to like live on being a musician, you know.
You literally did find something. Yeah, you literally did find something to fall back on.
Exactly. I never quit my day job, even
Yeah.
put it like that. But I think I really like having that compartmentalization of my life. You know, you have your hobby, which you work on and try to become better at and try to grow. You know, but just at the same time, you have another part of your life that you're not reliant on your hobby
right
to live. And I really enjoy the work that I do, and the other guys really enjoy the work that they do outside of music. So I think Tom Palimberg from At the Gates, he still worked as a, I think, teacher, like even when At the Gates were big enough for him to like, you know, live on
right.
that kind of work. Because he said that he needed something to, you know, ground him in life, and that was teaching for him. And I feel like that's a philosophy like a life philosophy that I can really get behind. You know, you have your different areas in life, and So I mean, you hear these full-time musicians that say that music isn't really that fun anymore because that's what they do for work. You know. I wouldn't do my day job as a hobby, you know. So I see that viewpoint as well.
Yeah. Now you mentioned initially that you could have had up to possibly 80 minutes of music that had to be trimmed down to 60 minutes. When you take that extra 20 minutes off, I guess I should ask you this before. When you take that extra 20 minutes off, is it out of necessity? Does someone say, hey, 60 minutes is long, 80 minutes is just way out of control and way too long? Or is it that the 80 minutes or the extra 20 minutes, I should say, just doesn't fit on the album? Is it more, is it more one than the other?
I think it's a lot of my personal feelings towards music. I mean, some bands can get away with doing like 80 minutes albums. You know, you have like Cult of Luna or Danish black metal band Orm did like an 80 minutes black metal album a few years ago. And I feel like a few bands can pull it off, but usually if I listen to an album, my brain starts rocking out at like 60 plus minutes, you know. So so I feel like it would kind of also be dishonest to do like 80 minutes. So I feel like, can we say what we want to say in 60 minutes instead of 80 minutes? If we can do that, that means that these extra 20 minutes, they are not up to par of the other material. And I think that's very important for us to do, you know, the self-editing to present the best material to the audience. And I think that's also kind of why people listen to our albums and they feel like everything is essential on that album. Every note has a meaning, you know, because we don't put a lot of fluff on it or like a lot of fat. So I think that's working for us at least.
And so what happens to that extra 20 minutes? Does that stuff get, does that stuff get saved for another album? Do you go through that stuff when it's time to do the next album and try to see what's there that didn't make this album?
Yeah, some of it we just realized, okay, this isn't really good enough for anything. Maybe we can spice it up at some point, or maybe have some idea how to incorporate it. Other parts are definitely like good enough to get on the album, but for that particular song that it was in, then it didn't really need to be there. So there's definitely parts that we cut out of an album and then will come into play next album. So it's a little bit of both, you know. Some parts are not good enough, and some parts just don't fit enough to keep them there.
And what is your own individual creative process like? We talked a little bit about the band, but being as that you're composing a lot of this stuff, do you just kind of get sparks of creativity throughout the day and you're jotting stuff down or putting stuff into your phone? Or do you sit down and treat it like you're punching in at a job? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write or compose music right now. And I'm going to lock myself in this room or sit at this table or whatever. You know, what's the process like for you?
It definitely depends. I think earlier in my life, I used to get these, like, you know, pangs of creativity, like, oh, this melody just came into my head. And then later on, I've started working like, instead of like writing down music, I started like actually recording music into the computer, you know, like in Cubase. And then there are certainly parts that I have in that project that have come to me like in like when I'm sitting down or going for a walk or whatever. It's like, oh, this melody just came into my head. That sounds nice. I should write it down when I get home. But then now, the last few years, I've also have like, I have some ideas like, oh, I really want to have this, I guess, death metal section in this part of the song, and then I maybe just sit down and like start, you know, improvising on guitar or like writing some drums and be like, I put a few different riffs after each other, and then I see like, this one is strong, this is I don't like as much. This I will circle back on in a few days and see where I'm at with this, and then try to puzzle those together. So it's, I think my workflow has become more like a, I guess, some ideas just come to me and some ideas I'm improvising forward, and then I will put down, you know, like a puzzle. You know, you have your different puzzle pieces and you just put them in places where you think they fit, and then you come up with the transitions for those parts and, you know, everything like that. So it's definitely evolved over time from just writing very structurally to more like improvising stuff. You know, this is a very long-winded answer, but the outer two, or like the second part of Like a Geyser Ever Erupting, that comes after, you know, the big choral piece. That was, I think that was mostly just improvised from my part. I just started like strumming on my guitar. It's like, oh, this sounds pretty cool, this chord progression, and then I maybe like put down like a synth, and then I had the arpeggiator on. It's like da 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 da, you know, that thing. So I think that's one of my earlier examples of like improvising sections, and then I refine it over time, you know, so it's not just improvised. But yeah, very long answer, but it's flexible.
No.
Oh, that's it.
And now, when you're able to come up with 80 minutes of music, so much more than what you actually need for a 60-minute album, have you ever flirted with the idea or of being in multiple projects, or do you just like being in one band? Like, I've had guys on here, and it always amazes me the time and the energy that they have. 4, 5, 6 different bands. So some guys that come on here, and, you know, I do appreciate the fact that they've got that much energy and they're able to focus on multiple projects. Then there are guys on here that just come on here that have a singular focus. They're in one band. You know, I mean, here's the project that I'm in, and that's it. Is that the way you prefer to work? I'm in this band and in this band alone.
I think obviously An Abstract Illusion is my main focus and will probably always be my main focus when it comes to music. But I also have some projects that I'm working on.
Okay.
So I have for a few years I've had a like a black metal one man side project, that I've just been writing music for and
Yeah.
writing what I think is great songs, but I just never really had the time to actually start like finalizing everything and starting recording it. And I also have like another project uh, with Robert who plays the keyboards for the for National Illusion, which is more like, I guess, Finnish melodic death metal. Those kind of
Yeah.
like Insomnium, Winter Sun, Omnium Gathrum, those kinds of bands. So I think we have some side projects that haven't really, seen the light of day. But I hope now that we're done with the Sleeping City cycle, that we can start like recording for other stuff. I already started recording for some of that, so hopefully. But An Abstract Illusion is always my main focus, so that will take precedence over anything else. But I have a lot of material written for other stuff, so maybe someday we'll be finished.
As somebody that always feels like I'm very sleep deprived, I would love to find out where the Sleeping City is and go there. I need to go there for about 6 months to a year and just catch the fuck up on some sleep. I'd like to just go there and hibernate for a while, get away from it all. I like the idea of a sleeping city. If this place really existed, I'd be on an airplane right now, my friend. I'd be there.
I hear they have a great soundtrack in that city.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's something that promotes sleep. You know what I mean? Something very
exactly.
Almost like a lullaby. Yeah, I would just want one big continuous lullaby. and
Exactly.
so for people that want to tap into what you do, before I let you out of here, I know everyone is on social media somewhere. Where's the best place to keep up with what's going on with An Abstract Illusion, upcoming plans, that kind of stuff?
I would say there's two places. There's Instagram. It's just An Abstract Illusion as one word, and then we have Facebook, also just An Abstract Illusion. Those are the two places that we keep most up to date. We have Twitter and we have Blue Sky, and you can follow us on, I guess, Spotify or Bandstown. All those kinds of places we try to keep updated. But those two, Instagram, Facebook, are where we put the most vital information up. So that's where you should follow us if you want to.
God forbid you wouldn't want to not be on social media, not in this day and age, right? You got to be somewhere, right? Yeah.
I always feel like whenever I open, Facebook, it's like, why do I have this piece of shit social media? And then I realize because I have to keep track of my band.
It's a necessary evil. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. But you get. Nowadays your feed on Facebook is just sponsored posts or like ads or like groups that you have never joined in the first place. Like, why am I seeing this? So
it's either that or it's people's opinions, or everybody is an armchair political expert or has an opinion on this or that, and it's everybody just espousing their beliefs and everything, and or trying to take people to task and argue on there. It is a very negative. I try to keep my social media down to literally just promoting the podcast, and that's it, on and off. Because I actually do two separate. I actually do two separate podcasts. I do the music one, and then I do a boxing one. And somebody said to me, how come you promote the two podcasts on the same Facebook and the same Instagram? I don't want to have multiple Facebook accounts. You know what I mean? I don't want to have one for the boxing and one for the music one. I just want to listen. I barely want to have one account. You know what I mean? Never mind two.
Yeah. But I did actually become like a little like, why do a boxing podcast want to do an interview with us? Then I scrolled through it and found like some musicians as well. I was like, okay, I get it. I get the concept, But
I suppose in that respect, sometimes when I reach out to people, it can get a little confusing, and I got to sometimes clear it up because you're not the first person that said that to me. Like, I don't know much about boxing. I don't know if you want to talk to me. Why you want to talk to me about this? But it's like, I just don't want to divide them up. I just don't want to divide them up. I'm 52 years old. I have a day job as well. The podcast is kind of a side hustle. I've got grown kids. I've got grandkids. It's just like I can't spend all this time on social media constantly, man. Trying to keep this account going and this account going and two separate ones for the two separate shows. It's too much. And then you go down that rabbit hole like where you're on social media constantly, and that's a dangerous place nowadays. It is.
Yeah, yeah. The best thing is just to mash everything together into one account,
It
no
is.
matter how
Yeah.
different it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, just consolidate it all and just keep it moving, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I'm really enjoying this album, man, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this, and I appreciate you being so flexible. I know I had to reschedule the other day. I had a work obligation that I completely forgot about, so I really appreciate you being so cooperative, man, and really enjoyed the
Yeah, no
conversation.
worries.
Yeah, I really love what you guys do, man, and I look forward to the next project. And you always have a platform here, my friend. I'd love to do it again sometime, for sure.
Definitely. Next album we can do another one of these. It's been I
Yeah.
had a great time. Great questions.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about it.
I appreciate it, Karl. Thanks. And as soon as I put it up, I'll send you the link so you can share it around on that dreaded social media that we all love and have to love, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, though. It was great talking to you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Karl. Talk to you later, brother. Later.
Bye.
There he goes, folks. KARL Westerlund. If you don't know, and again, I don't do this often, but when your boy Reckless Rexx recommends something, I hope you guys at least go give it a fair shake. And I'm really recommending that you do that with KARL's band, An Abstract Illusion. And I know a lot of people don't want to lock in. They don't want to pay attention. We talked about that in the episode. Attention spans have dwindled down to practically nothing. We're in a TikTok world. Entertain me for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then I want to keep it pushing. But I really would love you to go lend your ears to their latest album, The Sleeping City. Do not be scared off that this is 7 songs and 60 minutes because if you remember, and I'm 52 years old, I remember when Metallica would regularly put out 60, 70-minute albums. Folks, you can do it. You can do it. Carve a little bit of time. Don't even digest the whole thing all in one sitting, although that would probably be the preferred method. Just listen a little bit at a time, revisit it. But I think you will really love what they are doing. It is black metal. It is death metal. It is atmospheric. As he said, there's elements of synthesizer on there. Very beautifully done. Very much in the vein of what Opeth does. Great stories. As I said, very atmospheric. Feels very much like it could be a King Diamond-esque, especially when you look at the album cover. Instantly brought me to classic King Diamond albums like Voodoo and Them. Just amazing artwork, and this is a really, really special album, which, by the way, because I do occasionally tap into websites that review albums, this album has done extremely well in the eyes of reviewers, music journalists, etc. It has really had a lot of accolades heaped on it, and well deserved, I might add. So please do yourself a favor, go check out the band. An Abstract Illusion. The latest album just literally dropped October 17th, so it is a matter of a few weeks old at the time of this recording. The album is called The Sleeping City, and I wasn't kidding when I say that I need to go there. I need to go there for an extended vacay. I might not come back. I might go and just buy a one-way trip, one-way ticket. That's it. I'm going to The Sleeping City. Goodbye, everybody. Shutting everything down and just off I go, if it really existed. But what a great album this is. It really is. I can't talk it up enough. So I really encourage people to go check it out. And of course, if you like what you hear, tap in with the band on their social media platforms. I'm going to give my little spiel now about being a good fan. If you like what you hear, go check out their website, get some merch, check out a show if they're coming anywhere near you, if they have a mailing list or a newsletter or a fan club. Be a good fan and lift up these artists. These guys have day jobs. These guys are still finding time in their busy days to raise families and to write songs and give us a piece of themselves in the form of their art. So it's the least we can do to go out there and be good, diligent fans. And I say that every episode, and I really wholeheartedly mean it. I'm not tooting my own horn, but when I go to shows, I always buy merch. If I'm into a band, I try to really go dive into their website, see how I can be a good fan. And I think that's really important because not everybody that does music, contrary to popular belief, is sitting home on top of piles of money. Yes, there are the Metallicas, the Taylor Swifts of the world who are doing incredibly well, but it's not the norm. So again, I don't want to get on a big soapbox about this, but do go check out An Abstract Illusion. And again, I thank today's guest, KARL Westerlund. Really, really enjoyed that conversation and joining us all the way from Sweden. So big time difference. So I know he's several hours later than me, so it was much later at night for him. So I appreciate him joining me despite the time difference, and really enjoyed the conversation. And I know I gave my shameless plug for the show beforehand, so I'll run it down really quick before we sign off here. Make sure to tap into Pod Scum on Facebook. Our handle is Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. As I told Karl, 2 separate podcasts. If you're into boxing and pugilism, we got you covered with Off the Couch Boxing. If you're into music, arts, entertainment, rock, metal, we got you covered on Pod Scum. So that's our handle. Same on Instagram, Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum. Check us out over there. I'm trying to be better, more diligent, paying more attention to my Instagram. Somebody chirped in my ear and said, Rexx, that's where all the kids are going nowadays. You got to bone up on your Instagram skills. Get on over there. So I have heeded those words, and I am more active on Instagram, taking little snippets, reels, as the kids call them, from these conversations, excerpts, and putting them up there. It is a good promotional tool. And of course, I'm very interactive. If you want to reach out to me, if there's guests that you'd like to see me run down, if you have any feedback, suggestions, I'm all ears. I will respond. I try to be, your boy Rexx is a man of the people. I think you guys know that. So reach out, tell me what you like, what you don't like. You will hear back from me. If you comment on the episodes, you will get a response. So again, appreciate you guys. And of course, if you're here right now, this is the most important part. If you're on the YouTube channel, this is where you will get the great content. Facebook and Instagram are great promotional tools, keeping you updated on when episodes are dropping and who will be on the episodes and all that good stuff. But this is where you'll actually get the episodes. So this is where you need to be. So please like, please subscribe, and please smash that notification bell to stay tapped in when new episodes drop. Now that I got all that out, I want to again thank KARL Westerlund from An Abstract Illusion for joining me today. Hope you guys dug the conversation. And until we get together and we do this thing again, please remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.